huge pleasure and privilege to work with some extraordinary people who are not only supporting artists, but are also really passionate and focused on ways to get those artists out into the world and to present them to everybody else, to make them better known. And the most recent collector in residence, our current collector in residence, is Paula del Sol and Carlos Solari, who founded an extraordinary organization in Chile called Il Posto. And alongside them, the wonderful Antonio Echeverría, who runs Il Posto Documentos in Santiago. And tonight, I've spent the last 2 weeks finding out about all the amazing work Il Posto does in Chile, but then also thinking with Antonio and Carlo and Paula about how that work could be expanded and reach into the UK, and how Il Posto could form collaborations and partnerships with institutions here. And tonight is really the very beginning of that project. So thank you for being part of this kind of really special occasion. And I'm now going to hand over to Antonio, who's going to take you through the evening.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
So yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you, Sarah, very much for the introduction and the welcoming. Welcome, everybody, and thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to be with all of you here, and also it's a great honor to be with our very esteemed guests, Amalia, Winnie, and Diego. The three of them are very important and very special people from Il Posto, from Il Posto collection, and also from the last exhibition at Il Posto, No Man's Land, which was created by Diego, and Winnie's work and Amalia's work are both present in there, so it's a great honor to have you all here. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce you to Il Posto and tell you a little bit about our history, what we do, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. Well, Il Posto is a non-profit art space in Santiago de Chile. It's dedicated to the study, to the promotion, and to the exhibition of Latin American art through an art collection which was created, and it's still onward being created by Carlos Solari and Paula del Sol, who are here. Il Posto, it's many, many things, and I would like this presentation to express that. Il Posto is present, it's in Santiago de Chile, so this is a map of the city of Santiago, right? And this city was founded by the Spanish who conquered the city in the 16th century, and today nearly 40% of the population of Chile lives in this city, so it's approximately a city about 7 million people, right? And these are, well, different districts of the city. And I would like to show you these two different things. Well, the city, it's crossed from, it has a big river called the Mapocho River. And those two green points are the two locations of the two different spaces of Il Posto. It's exhibition space, and also it's research and documentation space. And so to tell you and to understand where is Santiago, at the west of Santiago, there is this very huge mountain called the Cordillera de los Andes, which is a very extensive mountain range, who is the biggest and longest mountain range in all of the world. So this river that I already told you about connects the mountain with the Pacific Ocean. And yeah, so also, well, these are both archive images from the National Library of Chile. So, and Valparaiso, it's a very huge port in which Chile is connected with all over the world. So Asia, all the Pacific coast is connected through there. And these are two images of Santiago. So for all of you who haven't been there, you can imagine and see how huge the vision and this perspective and landscape that we have with this big mountain and snow, right? And this is a picture of currently the Mapocho River. This is a picture taken like 5 minutes walking through the research space, which is in the center of Santiago, that I'm going to tell you now about. These are both pictures from the 60s from this river, so you can imagine how much the city has changed in the past, I don't know, like 60 years, but yeah. And well, this is the first space of Il Posto, which is the exhibition space, which is on the west of the city, and it's on a neighborhood called Vitacura. And Vitacura is a really like friendly space with big parks, and here you can see this is like a 2 and 5 minute walking from Il Posto. You can see a big park, a lot of children, a lot of family. So it's a very nice place. And then this is the research and documentation space in the center of Santiago. There, that big, the balcony that you see there on the second floor, this is the balcony of the research space. So it's like our place to have lunch and meetings and gather with a lot of people. And as you can see, the center of Santiago, at difference from the other place, is very crowded. It's always full of people, full of movement. It's also a place with a very cultural heritage everywhere you go. There is history, there are restaurants, and a very cultural and social life. So it's a very beautiful space. It's a very beautiful place to have a research space. So yeah, and that in that picture is the Museum of Fine Arts of Santiago, which is like the oldest museum of fine arts in South America. It was founded by the end of 19th century, and it's kind of a copy of the Petit Palais at Paris, as you can see. And so I want to tell you a little bit about the history of Il Posto. These two people, two very nice and kind people, are Carlos Solari and Paula del Sol, who are here with us tonight. They both started collecting a long time ago, and I believe that the story of them is also a story of how certain artworks and certain artists has changed their lives. And I want to do this presentation by telling you also the story through different artworks who were very important to them. So this first work from Marx Ernst, which is actually not like an Il Posto collection work, this is a personal work from Carlo and Paula, was bought like 25 years ago here in London. So they both were living here, and they had their oldest daughter, Andrea, and Paula asked for a gift because of her birth. So she asked for an artwork. And then they decided to acquire this beautiful Mark Ernst work. So this is kind of the beginning of everything. So I believe that it was really important to show it right now. With time, they continue collecting different artists, and they returned to Chile, and they started collecting more and more Chilean art. And especially since probably 2007, they started collecting art from a very specific and special generation of artists who worked between the 70s and the 90s, called the Escena de Avanzada. This generation of artists were very, very involved in political actions during the dictatorship in Chile. And this work specifically by Las Yeguas del Apocalipsis, called Las Dos Fridas, which imitated the work from Frida Kahlo from the 1936, so or less. It's a beautiful action, and it's a beautiful image, which actually Diego used for the exhibition, not only showing it, but it's kind of the framework of the exhibition. So it's a very important work, and Carlo and Paula, they always say that when they bought this piece, it was like a turning point in understanding and trying to demonstrate like a kind of art that they were really interested with. So then, this is a beautiful image of the two hands of the Yeguas, holding between them. And well, this is a piece, of course, that relates to the AIDS crisis in Chile and in Latin America, which by the 1989, that moment wasn't really like a theme in the art world, so it's really special, specifically in Chile. And then in 2016, and probably very important to us right now, Carlo and Paula acquired this very important work by Chilean artist Gonzalo Díaz, called Lonquén, from 1989 also. So Lonquén is a big installation, which, as you can see there, is this like thing with all the rocks, and it's very, very heavy, like 3 tons heavy. So when they acquired this work, they were like, well, we know that it's very, very important for this work, who was made in the 89. Then it was shown one time at the Museo Reina de Sofía at the beginning of this century. It was very important to show it to people in Chile, because in Chile there is like a very weak institutional landscape, and unfortunately big public museums don't have the resources and the spaces to have installed permanently these very important and these very huge works. So in terms of the relationship with this kind of artists, it was for them really important to have a place where this work can be viewed always. So this is the only work in the collection, the Il Posto collection, that it's constantly presented. It's a permanent display. And this work from Gonzalo Díaz is one of the most important ones that relates directly to the dictatorship in Chile and to a specific historic event that occurred in Lonquén, which is very near Santiago, but it's a location there. And other important thing about Lonquén is that Gonzalo Díaz made a gift to Il Posto to give all of his archive of documents about this work. So it was, I believe, like the first stone in understanding that Il Posto had to be a place to be open to the public and open for researchers and open for students, so they can really understand and look at these very important documents. So in Il Posto there are the pictures of a performance he did, a book with all his annotations and, well, everything about this work, and it's really, really special. So the story of Il Posto, of course, is the story of a collection. I believe that it's impossible to tell the story of the institution without telling the story of the collection. Today, Il Posto has a collection of about 400 artworks, but also it has a collection of 600 documents, which are very important because each of them relates to one and another. So, beginning with the collection, as I already told you, Carlo and Paula, they were really focused on Chilean and with Chilean art of that specific time. But then, during the pandemic, there was a moment for thinking about what was going to happen with all of this and which was the future of the collection. And at that moment, Carlo and Paula, they worked closely with Gabriel Pérez Barreiro, with Spanish curator Gabriel Pérez Barreiro, and by that moment they got to the conclusion that what they needed to do was to continue growing this collection, but focusing also in Latin American art. So all of these very important artworks from Chilean art needed to be connected with artists all around Latin America and beyond, working with themes and connections related to this, as Winnie and Amalia probably. And as I told you, Il Posto is always connecting different things, and of course the idea of connecting the south with the north, and not saying one north or one south, but many south and many north, no longer thinking about centers and peripheries, but as an interconnected way of understanding the world. And for example, this is a document from Alfredo Yar, who's a very important Chilean artist, which is in the archive collection. And in the 89, Alfredo Yar sent to Nuri Gonzalez and Gonzalo Diaz, who are both artists living in Chile, a card like it was a Happy New Year from Alfredo Yar, as it says, and it says, "Welcome to the new world." And what Alfredo did, and he was living in New York, so he sent them like the map. It was, I always think about this action, and it has many ways of seeing it, but the interesting thing is it's not the map, it's the new map. It was a moment when the map changed and the sizes were represented correctly as at that moment they think, but then it changed again. But this was an action that Alfredo did, and we have this document in the collection. And now, of course, as Sarah told you, we are in London, and it's really special because Carlo and Paula, they are currently based in here. So we are beginning to think about how we can develop the program that we do in Chile in here. So we're really happy about it. And when you think about this, you understand that you're thinking some things, and then you realize that artists before yourself already did it. So Lottie Rosenfeld, who is a very, very important Chilean artist, late Chilean artist who passed away a couple of years ago, she was very well known for her participation at Colectivo de Acciones de Arte, and specifically because of her performance work in the public space. So she's well renowned for this work, Una milla de cruces sobre el pavimento, and she intervened different places. This is the first time she did it by the end of the 70s, and then this is by the end of the 90s here in London. And as I already told you, connecting Chile with Latin America is a very, very important thing for us. And we have this very beautiful mountain connecting where you are in Santiago, but you don't see the other places. And kind of in Chile, we're pretty far apart from the rest of Latin America. So I made this question, this hypothetical and utopian question: how do we make the Andes invisible? And of course, again, there are artists before us who already thought about this. This is Juan Dausni's work from the collection from the 1969. Juan Downey, who was a Chilean artist living in New York, he was thinking very intensively about the idea of the invisible energies and invisible architectures. And for the special event which occurred in the Central Park called the Avant-Garde Festival in New York, the 69, he did like a kind of a concert in there, but he said that it was a invisible energy that was playing in Chile and then was a concert in New York. So Juan Downey was thinking of ways of communicating through, I don't know, like cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-rays, and this was in the 69. So it's really beautiful to see these works and to understand, well, what you're trying to do. And of course, well, this is the map of South America and Central America. And we have in the collection, and we work with artists who are, for example, in Chile, Eugenio Dittborn, but at the same time with artists such as Seba Calfuqueo, who is an Mapuche artist, an indigenous artist located in Chile, but at the same time with artists such as Wiki Pirela, who is a Venezuelan artist living in Chile, and at the same time we've worked in Argentina with Diego Bianchi, who is from Argentina, but at the same time Adrián Balseca, for example, he's from the Ecuador, but he's living currently in Argentina. And other examples as Fernando Brais in Peru, Xeranaue Haquihuihue in Venezuela, Cristian Salablanca in Costa Rica, and Marilyn Boror and Antonio Pichilla, both indigenous artists living in Guatemala. And then we have, of course, artists as Ivan Navarro, Carlos Mota living in New York, and in Spain, Alexander Apostol from Venezuela, Sandra Gamarra from Peru, and, well, Amalia, Argentinian artist living here in London. So we have both of these spaces, and both of these spaces are spaces before everything, places for gathering, places for thinking, places for having conversations. This is encounters from researchers, openings of exhibitions. This is a beautiful work that we have in the research space by Pase Rasuris called Evelyn from the Adam's Apple. And then this is an exhibition at Il Posto. This is ourselves working in the research space, which is actually our office also, and other images like that. And both of these spaces, they also always are trying to connect with the inside with the outside. Especially in the center, we have this research space, which is always quite silenced. But when you go to the balcony, you have this very noisy place with cars all over, people screaming, people selling music and everything. So it's a very beautiful connection. I work there like every day, and I loved it. I love it very much. And we have had other opportunities, like Diego Bianchi's exhibition Volverse Cosa last year. For the opening, we commissioned Diego to create a performance, and Diego asked different performers to push their bodies from the outside of the gallery to the inside of the gallery, pushing specifically their tattoos. So this was happening, and inside of the gallery was this kind of traditional opening. There's Diego, the big guy in the left. And of course, the relationship between the artworks and the documents. So this is Carlos Lepe, a late Chilean artist, very important for the performance and gender initiatives in Chile during the 70s and the 80s. This is an exhibition, a very important exhibition he did called Sala de Espera, but the artworks, the cantatrices, which are part of the Il Posto collection, are also connected with documents. For example, this is a letter from Lepe's mother, and his mother was really, really important for his practice. And so we have the letter, and then you have the artwork in which her mother is giving a speech. And so to start finishing my introduction, this is the team that we have in Chile, and I want to tell you a little bit about them. This is Sergio Parra, which is a very well-renowned poet from Chile. He started as a poet during the 80s, and today he runs a very important library and publishing house in Santiago called Metales Pesados, and he's the artistic director of Il Posto. And I believe that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here talking about all of this. And there is Josefina Lavin, who is in charge of the archive and the academic coordination, and Carolina Ursua. So we are a small team, but we really believe in what we're doing, and we are really passionate about it. And we are currently doing different sorts of things, and I want to show you some of them. So we develop an exhibition program which aims always to connect the artworks from Latin American artists with Chilean artists. In the last 6 years, we have done nearly 20 exhibitions, and in those 20 exhibitions, we have shown more than 60 works from artists from different places. Each year, we invite a guest curator from abroad. So this year was Diego, and we're really happy about it. And we've had different in the past. So these are some of the exhibitions. This is the first exhibition that opened to the public this space for the first time, like officially, in the 2020, from Juan Downey, called El Nudo de la Vida, which actually was, by a time when I wasn't working at Il Posto, I went to this exhibition. I was like so amazed. I couldn't believe that all of this work from these artists, all of those are pieces from the end of the 50s and beginning of the 60s from Downey, and that was really special and really difficult to find in Chile. And this is Pase Rasuris, also during the 2020, called Distanciamiento Social, her exhibition. And this is An Air of Distance, which was an exhibition that I co-curated with Sergio Parra at the beginning of this year. Also, the exhibition space is a place for gathering. For example, this is Raúl Zurita, a very, very important Chilean poet, doing a poetry reading it's not in the gallery, but it's in there. And also we've had different occasions like this in Ivan Navarro's exhibition, a small concert. And we just recently opened in the research space a small archive room to develop it's really in the beginning, but we are really enthusiastic about creating small opportunities for transforming and showing different kind of archival-based exhibitions. And also publishing. These are our catalogs that we have here, so you are all invited to get one, please. And also conferences. This is Miguel Lopez during the 2022 telling about his story related to Teoretica. This is Cuauhtemoc Medina that I had the honor of interviewing last year also. And these are our most recent research fellowships. Ignacio, Roberto, Vania, and others that have passed there, and they are doing research based on the themes and the artists that we are showing at the moment at the art space. And this is our last initiative called Diagonal, which is a really interesting network of master's students of art history and art theory working in Chile. So we are trying to make the experience of research more connected between them and between people from different universities. And this is the thing that I love the most of my work, working very closely to universities and teachers who believe in us and bring their students. So we are always showing our materials, having conversations. So yeah, that's Il Posto. So. So thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here, and I hope that all of you who already know Il Posto, you knew it better, and for those who haven't been there, you are very welcome to visit us. Thank you.